This is Dave, and I'm here with Ethan, and together we are Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 38-inch.
On this episode, we have part 2 of our interview with vocalist and longtime Weird Al collaborator, Lisa Popeil.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
It's a podcast about Weird Al.
It's Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Seriously, the whole podcast is about Weird Al.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
You don't have to listen, but we're glad you are.
Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast.
Dave! You know what's happening on Saturday?
The weekend starts?
Yes, and...
The next day is Sunday?
And...
Oh, well, we're interviewing Jonah Ray, host of Mystery Science Theater 3000, in front of a live audience before a screening of Weird Al's cult comedy film UHF at Proctor's in Schenectady, New York, starting at 4 p.m. And it's the day I'm going to give you the $5 that I owe you.
You bet you are! I can't wait!
For the $5?
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm excited to see Jonah and do the screening and the interview and all that. Dave, we've never really done an interview in front of other people before. I wonder if we're going to have stage fright.
Well, now I'm going to have stage fright. You didn't tell me there were going to be other people there.
Yeah, it's going to be in front of a live audience. And we're going to be interviewing Jonah Ray. We're going to be playing some of his music videos because we have access to a giant screen behind us. It is going to be so much fun. People that are going, that have their tickets, they are just like freaking out. I wish I could see the event, but you know, I am part of the show.
You're going to see the event, but just to have a different view from everybody else.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh, it's going to be so much fun. I'm really looking forward to this. It's going to be pretty stinking majestic.
That is the absolute best way to describe this event. So, as everyone knows, because we've only been talking about it for 500 episodes, Saturday, January 25th, Schenectady, New York, Dave, you and I are going to be doing a live interview with Jonah Ray, host of Mystery Science Theater, so many things, actor, comedian, host, so many things. We're going to be talking to him live in person. We could reach over and touch him if we wanted to, but we won't because that is part of the contract, Dave. And we are going to talk to him. We are going to eat some Twinkie Wiener sandwiches, the vegan variety. There's going to be Yankaritas. And of course, we, along with all of our close personal listeners, fans, and friends, are going to watch a screening of UHF on the big screen.
It's a screen that is 2,000 inches big. That is a huge screen.
Pretty much 2,000 inches. We'll put an asterisk there, so I don't know how many inches it is, but it's a big screen.
Oh, it is going to be so much fun just to be in a room with all Weird Al fans, all Jonah Ray's fans, and just watch UHF together, and all of our fans, and watch UHF together.
And you know what's so cool? We have a custom poster that was designed by our good friend Jeff McClelland and his friend, who I'm sure is our friend by osmosis, Andrea Schiavone, and they did an amazing job on this event poster.
Yeah, this poster is so pretty. It's just, if you haven't seen it yet, head on over to patreon.com/2000inch. It's up there. It's a very limited run, and we're going to have screen printed copies available at the screening, and we're going to make a few of them available to our listeners online. If you want them, hurry. They're going fast. There's not a lot left.
No, there really are not many left.
So if you want one, make sure you let Ethan or myself know, or send an email to frank@2000inch.com to reserve one, because once they're gone, that's it. They are gone.
They are going to look so amazing in your collection, hung on your wall, to cover your textbook, to wrap gifts for Father's Day. They're going to be great.
And they're big enough to cover up that hole in the wall, so you can replace your Velvet Elvis with one of our Dave and Ethan's 2000 Weird Al Podcast UHF screening posters.
Or, better yet, you can make another hole in your wall. Dave, anyone who can't make the event but really wants an autograph from Jonah Ray, I'm sure we can hook them up on the poster.
Do you think Jonah Ray will sign my forehead?
I hope so. Do you think if you had Jonah Ray sign your forehead and then you got that tattooed, would Al be jealous that he just got your leg? And then are you going to have a portrait of Jonah tattooed over your own face?
Yes. I'm going to have a full-size portrait of Jonah's face tattooed over top of my face. So Jonah and I can be twins.
Well, folks, you can't miss that. Get your tickets, uhf.2000inch.com, or just head over to proctors.org, or just go to Proctors and you can buy them in person if you really must.
And you got to do that quick because that event is this Saturday. That's only a couple days away. So you have until Saturday to get to Proctor's in Schenectady, New York, to join us in this amazing event.
So we talked about how limited this poster run is. There's only 40 of them in the entire world. And of course, people are already asking me, what is going to happen to poster number 27?
Hey, Ethan, what's going to happen to poster number 27?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Dave. We are going to be doing a special raffle at the event. Inexpensive tickets, bonus stickers, and prizes. There's going to be other cool prizes you can win. We're going to do this limited raffle, and the winner will have the choice of choosing poster number 27. I'm entering the raffle. I don't know if that's illegal, Dave, but I really want poster number 27. I'm sure everyone would be like, hey, if I won, but I really want it.
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed to enter.
Okay. Well, if anyone wants to enter and then they decide they want to trade, wink, wink, let me know. Can Frank enter?
I don't think so. I think he's an official employee of Dave and Ethan's 2000 Inch Weird Al podcast. So unless we fire him, which, isn't out of the possibility before Saturday, I don't think he's allowed to enter.
I'm actually not sure. Dave, is Frank going to be at the event?
He told me he was going to be there, but he might make some lame excuse like, his car doesn't have gas because I siphoned all of his gas out of his car earlier today. But, that's just a lame excuse.
Dave, how else are you supposed to get gas? You're not expected to drive a mile and a half to the gas station.
Oh, heck no. I'm not going to...
If he's parked in your driveway, that's pretty much the same thing.
I agree. And Ethan, this weekend is going to be so much fun because not only are we having our screening of UHF with a live podcast with Jonah Ray, but you and Jonah Ray will also be performing 3 comedy shows this weekend. The first one is tomorrow, Thursday, January 23rd. You will be at the High Low in North Adams, Massachusetts. Then the next day, Friday the 24th, you'll be in Glens Falls, New York at the Park Theater. And then on Saturday the 25th, directly after our screening, in the same venue, you and Jonah will have a separate stand-up comedy show. All of that is at Proctor's in Schenectady, New York.
I cannot wait. And I don't know if I told you this, Dave, but Jonah is going to be performing his Weird Al punk covers at these comedy shows.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to be coming to some of those comedy shows as well.
Are you going to be performing with us?
Hey, if you ask me to, I might.
Do you have an act?
Yeah, I yodel in the nude.
You're hired, Dave. That is going to be such a fun weekend. So for those tickets, you can go to the respective websites of the venues, the High Low in North Adams, the Park Theater in Glens Falls, and Proctor's in Schenectady.
We had a lot of great feedback on the first half of our interview with Lisa Popeil from last week's episode 37 Inch. So without further ado, let's get right back into the second and final part of our interview with the great Lisa Popeil.
I wanted to actually roll back to what you were saying about Al moving forward, how he has said that he's not really looking to do albums. He's more looking for inspiration. And I wanted to get and I guess, Dave, your thoughts too on, part of Al is just the great, I want him to be inspired to write something. But the other hand, some of these songs that we've heard about, like Girls Just Want to Have Lunch, where it's sort of forced upon him, yet he comes out with something amazing, at least in my opinion, for that song and Dave's opinion for that song. Do you think, though, having that sort of pressure from the record label, from the time constraint point of view, do you think that we are going to lose an aspect of some of Al's music and genius of being able to turn, coal into a diamond rather than just, creating a beautiful piece of art on his own time?
Well, I would think there'd be fewer deep cuts, fewer B-sides.
Mm-hmm.
If he's only going to do a song every so often, it's going to be a big song. It's going to be a song people are really knowledgeable about. So I would say there'll be more people-pleasing songs. On the other hand, he might have more time to craft one song instead of feeling pressured to write 9 or 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really good question. I'd be curious what he'd have to say. Let's get him on the line.
Okay,
Let's see what he has
up.
to say about this. But I'm sure that the pressure from the constraints or demands that he write so many songs in a certain amount of time, it's going to impact something versus saying, I'm going to do one song because I really want to.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe he works well under pressure, and maybe there have been no problems with writing under pressure versus writing for pleasure and for the fans only.
So maybe it'll be a new era of Al music. Maybe it'll be even better than we've ever could imagine.
And also people wanting it and just waiting for that. When's the next song coming out? Just the excitement that builds up. Also, I think a lot of young people haven't grown up in an album culture, so
that's true.
They're very comfortable with this idea of one song at a time. I was surprised at the audiences. I thought that there would be more older people, meaning late 50s, 60s, and I thought there'd be more kids. Because I remember years ago going to the shows in the 80s and 90s and seeing more young people. And I did see young people, but not as many as I expected. The audiences this summer were predominantly in their 30s and a lot of couples. I was surprised about both things. And I guess maybe they're in their 30s because they grew up and saw the videos in the MTV. They were kids when they watched the videos on MTV in the 90s. When were you guys really introduced to Al and watching his videos? Was it in the 90s?
It was the late 90s for me. I was 8 or 9 when I got introduced to Al's music, Bad Hair Day, and then followed by Running with Scissors when that came out in 99.
Yeah, I was 10 years old, but I was 10 years old in 1984, so my first experience was with the In 3D album.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot to that, to fans growing up with Al, and as Ethan mentioned earlier, once you become a Weird Al fan, you're a Weird Al fan for life, so you do grow up with him, and you do introduce your kids and your other family members to Al, so that's the kind of the turnover you see or at least that from going to the concerts that I've been to, the turnover I see at concerts is you see the family and then they bring their kids and then their kids grow up and then they bring their kids and so on.
It's like the Olympic torch, where it's like you have the Olympic torch and it's always, there's always the flame going, but that same flame, is spread around and eventually everyone has that flame burning within them, the Al flame.
Oh, we need a song just for that.
Yes.
But seeing the couples were enjoying him, and there was a couple that I met previously. It's a really funny story to me. So 1 year ago, I was in Hawaii, in Kona, and I was with my husband and a girlfriend, and we were sitting by the water having a lovely breakfast, and next to us was a couple they were actually in their 40s, but they looked like they were in their 30s. Forever young Al fans. And anyway, they were talking about Al. And I thought, oh, come on, how does this happen in Kona? So I said to Bill, I said, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to talk to these people. And I started talking with them. And they said they were super fans, but they didn't know my name. They didn't know me.
Right.
But we just hit it off. They were so funny and delightful. And they live in a small town in Utah.
Wow.
And I told them that I was going to be on the tour, and they were just so excited. We took pictures. I said, I'm going to send this to Al so he can see that, he's got random fans in Hawaii visiting from Utah. And they came to the show in Las Vegas. They drove several hours this summer to see the Las Vegas show. And they were VIPs, and they stayed a long time to be able to get photos with Al. And they sent me the nicest text afterwards. They said, Lisa, for you, this was maybe just another show. But for us, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And how much it meant, because I think I had gotten them free tickets. And they were just so grateful. And we still stay in touch, and they have friends and family members who dress up as Al for Halloween, so they sent me pictures. It's a whole family affair.
Oh, that's so cool.
It's, and I'll always have a feeling of closeness to these people that I met randomly at a restaurant,
I will say shame on them for calling themselves Al fans and not knowing you. I'll just have to get that out there.
Thank you. They know me now. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
So I want to go back to the Strings Attached tour, and particularly Weasel Stomping Day. So up on Weasel Stomping Day, you're wearing a Viking helmet up on stage. One of the funniest things. So what is the experience like up on stage for you? Because you're facing the audience the entire time. You're seeing arm waving in Amish Paradise. You're seeing Al out in the audience during Tacky. You're seeing cell phones in the air during Don't Download This Song. What is it like being up on stage looking out in the audience?
Oh, it's so many things. Let's see. I personally liked it best when I could see the faces.
Yeah.
I like to watch the audience enjoy themselves. When I couldn't see the faces, when it was completely dark, it's much more dreamlike. And when you're moving around like that and singing, there's, and you're playing a character, because I want to say that, because I'm playing a different character for each of the songs. For instance, in Weasel Stamping Day, I tried to have like this big, silly smile, like kind of righteous, like I know everything about everything smile, but I'm actually from a really small town and I've never been anywhere.
Yep.
And you're not familiar with Lisa Popeil?
Yeah, that kind of thing. Or or I'm playing more serious, or in Amish Paradise, I tried to look naive, I know I don't know anything about the outside world, and just kind of very nice and young and innocent. So I try to have different facial expressions at least. I don't know if that was visible, but that was my goal. So I'm playing a character, and whenever you're acting, it's a weird state because you feel like you're in this zone. You are you, but you're not you. So it's not like I'm there and I'm being me, and I'm actually trying to do the whole character and trying to be as real in that character moment by moment as I can, and also just remember the timing. So at the same time, your brain is aware of timing and lyrics, and when I'm putting the Viking hat on, and there were a few shows where I had to put the Viking hat on both Al and Jim. So
Yes.
Beforehand I realized I got to tell them, because I have to tell them that I'm going to be putting it on both at the same time. So please, guys, get low and put your heads together. Otherwise, there's going to be a mishap. So there's mechanical things to think about. Also, dancing and not whacking Monique, who's center. I'm on
Right.
her right, because she was big with the she knows how to shake that stuff, and so she get her elbows out there, and so that I did sustain a few bruises, work injuries related to dancing. So we have to be aware of your surroundings and also not stepping off, or falling off the stage.
Right.
There were some really windy nights where we had these plastic shields behind us so that the orchestra's sound wouldn't bleed into our mics, because sound management was a thing, and it took a while several shows for them to figure out how to make it work, because it was a completely new sound environment for an Al show. So it was kind of deal with, fix it as the problems come up. So we had this big plastic shield, but it could fall over. So Hawkeye, who was the stage manager, had this thing rigged up with straps, and when I'm getting off the stage to go to get for instance, the Viking helmets, you could easily trip over this strap. So, just not falling. Also, there was there was times like in Smells Like Nirvana, where Al throws the mic and the mic stand on the stage, and it's very dark, and so one of us girls could have easily tripped over this,
right?
And so there was a time when I had to just stop, because on the stage as I was leaving, because I couldn't see, it was too dark, and I didn't want to trip, because that would have been worse. But then Al had to get out for a costume change. So there's, but we worked out the bugs. So eventually the tour manager would come out and Melissa, and she'd grab the mic stand. So, you solve problems. There are always problems.
Right.
That's life. And you solve the problems as you go, until by the time at the end of the tour, it's a finely honed watch. Everything works perfectly. Unfortunately, the people in Florida, the first 5 shows, they got we're working stuff out, but we'll give it our all kind of shows. But what's it like to stand there? There are times when when you're on stage, when you're really in a dream state. You're seeing the lights, you're seeing the movement in the lights, like liquid in your eye or something that's projected onto the lights. And so it's very psychedelic sometimes. And then there's the smoke. So there's times when you think, am I awake? I think I'm singing. Oh, I am singing, but
right.
I'm not completely awake. It's just my mouth is moving, my face is moving, and I'm dancing, but I'm not really awake. No,
right.
I'm really half asleep.
You're hypnotized.
There's that. It's just surreal is the word that describes the overall standing up there. I can't believe I'm doing this. And there were times too when it's like, how many more songs do we have till the end, sort of thing. Like, if you're tired, I'm thinking, how many more songs till the end? But it did not take away from giving 100%. It's just multiple brain processes going on at the same time. And you're in and out of consciousness. Because I never wanted to look like I was phoning it in, or even if I was, I always wanted to look like this. Every moment is what my life is about, and it's always about the audience. As a voice coach, when I'm working with singers, there's a new trend in singing which I don't like, and that is to be super introverted, to sit there and sing really, really softly and have my eyes closed, and the only way I move is because it feels good to me, and I don't like that. To me, that's not a performance. A performance it's always about the audience,
right?
Giving them their money's worth, making this show the night of a lifetime. And this new trend with this sort of what's called whisper pop, which is like, I've got a big voice, but you'll never hear it because I'm just going to sit here and act really depressed and introverted and alienated. That's like this new stylistic thing. That to me is like, you could do that in your bathroom. You don't need an audience for that. I want to make sure the audience is excited all the time, not bored for a second or drifting off.
Well, then there's this mumble rap that's now big too, and it's kind of weird. I mean, I almost feel like, the three of us, we're becoming your music teacher who's like, only classical's good. We're like, well, we don't understand why you want to hear this music where you can't hear the music. But maybe we're wrong. Maybe it's good. Who knows? I know.
So. We're showing our age, aren't we? It's like,
we are.
Oh, those young people. They don't know what they're missing.
Right.
But to me, rap, there's only good thing about rap, if anything at all, is, okay, I'm just going to say it, I'm just going to be blunt about it, is the lyrics. And if I can't understand the lyrics, then there's nothing good about it. and it's not singing. So, but there's other stuff, and I've got new students who I really want to help, but I tell them right away, I go, I do have my biases, but it's based on what lasts. If you're a singer who has one hit song or has a small cult following and you're fine with that, keep in this sort of small world of small performances, but and this a small way of performing. I said, but if you want to be remembered as one of the greats, and it's going, your art and your songs are going to be enjoyed for generations to come, you really have to open your eyes and you have to put out energy. You have to make sure that everyone in the audience feels seen and that you're projecting your voice, now maybe not on every note, but putting your energy out there and able to have vocal versatility. Because if it's always just one sound, it can be boring. It could be an exciting sound, but if that's the only sound you can make, you may lose some people. Now, there are some people that say, well, like, AC/DC, Bruce Johnson, it's always one sound. But he's so charismatic. So I guess charisma is a really big part of it. And regardless of what artistic choices you make or vocal choices you make, charisma is a huge part of it. And when I see the photos of us at the ends of the shows and I see Al's face, I see how happy he is. I realize then this is why he does it. It's so deeply rewarding to him, because he'll finish a tour and then immediately start planning the next tour. And I thought, why? It was so exhausting. And those photos of his face and of the charisma light shining out of his face and how beautiful he looks in those photos at the ends of the shows, no matter how tired he may be, you don't see that. You see joy, pure, unadulterated joy and love and appreciation for his fans. That's why he works as hard as he does. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think we all did. But you really see it in him, because he works much harder than any of us are.
Yeah, for sure. We loved watching you up on stage. Ethan and I often commented on you during our reviews and everything you were doing up there. But one thing we were concerned about for you was during You Don't Love Me Anymore, when he smashes the guitar at the end. Were you ever scared?
Well, we were in that the shards of the guitar,
right?
Particularly Scotty, because she was closest to it. So yes, there was some concern that it would hit her in the eye. But otherwise, it was shtick. We were just doing shtick about like unexpected, like we didn't know he was going to do it, and like we're just like shocked and abhorred that that this thing just happened and we were not prepared for it. So we're acting like little girls. I hope it came off like that, like that we were really, that we were really shocked by it. I'm surprised he did it, because some of these theaters are classic theaters that people do ballet on. And I thought, wow, this is, and I asked him, I said, have you ever gotten into trouble with the management? He goes, no, no, I guess it doesn't damage the floor enough. There was one guitar that he could not smash, and so he stepped on it.
Oh my God.
He stepped on it, and that smashed it. And I thought, well, that's a brilliant idea. He should just, if he has, let's say he gives it 2 times and it doesn't smash, he should just step on it, because otherwise he's up there, and we're running over on our time. We have a very tight time schedule. We had to be an hour and a half and no longer than that. Otherwise, there were huge fines for the orchestra. So I think he started incorporating that strategy, that if this darn thing is not going to break, I'm stepping on it.
I don't think I saw it. Dave, did you see anywhere he stepped on it?
No, I was not at that concert where he stepped on it.
Man.
Yeah, he stepped on it a few times when it was just too well made. They would try to get these, the cheapest guitar they could.
Right.
And but some of them were better made than others, and they just wouldn't smash.
That's so great.
But we all would work stuff out. Like, for instance, the way I would walk when I came on stage, this kind of little sashaying, sauntering thing.
Yeah.
I didn't just want to walk on stage like, okay, I'm walking on stage. No, it's like, oh, we're cute. We're the girls. So that's why I got that idea. And I'm assuming the girls behind me did it too. I don't actually know if
They did.
walked on
Oh, they
stage
did.
with their hands out like I did. But I thought, let's do an entrance. Like, hello, everybody, we're here. That kind of thing. But a lot of the choreography was based on Monique, because she's actually a really talented natural choreographer.
Oh.
So a lot of the I'm trying to think of the one that we really worked out, the pom-poms.
Yeah.
Maybe she'd been a pom-pom girl in the past, but that whole pom-pom choreography she worked out, and she did it at home, and she made a little video of it, and then we practiced it and perfected it. But total kudos to Monique for our pom-pom routine. And then when we would come off stage and throw our pom-poms on Al, it was always different. We would just feel it. That was not really choreographed. We just do whatever felt right. Just try not to hit him in the face.
Right. It was doing the choreography and the hand movements and that kind of thing. Was that something that Al was like, hey, it'd be great if you guys did it? Or was it just something just kind of on your own you guys put together?
I think we put it together. There was one spot where he told us just to stand there. At the very end, in the James Brown section. It's right after Amish.
The Amish vamp.
And the Amish vamp, right. And it's the James Brown section. And he says to the audience, do you want some more? There was a time when we girls behind would be like trying to, even though he was standing there still, we were trying to get the audience to be louder with our hand gestures. And I guess he saw that on a fan video. And he said, just stand there, just like I am, just totally stand there. So aside from that, I don't think he had a ton of input into our choreography. But I just remembered that one. And that happened about midway. And then from then on, we just stood there. So he just let us do our thing for the most part.
That's so cool.
And trusted that we were doing a good job.
You guys certainly did. It was so much fun.
Oh, you're so nice. Thank you. Well, we cared, and I think that makes a big difference. There's, like I was saying before, there's some performers who they just look like they're there for the money. It's like another town, another show.
Right.
And maybe when you're doing a show and you're doing it for a year, maybe that's gonna happen. But it's 3 months. It's a short tour. You're not burnt out. So I don't know. If we had done a 6-month tour, would we have had that same flavor and flair? I like to think we would have. Because, again, my commitment is always to the audience. Even when I'm doing a presentation at a conference and I'm doing a PowerPoint presentation, I'm still singing while I'm doing it, and I'm telling jokes, and I'm not trying to tell jokes, but it's like a stand-up routine, and people love that. They remember the material better too. As a teacher, they remember it if they're laughing at the same time. They have the more favorable response to your information, even if it's not what they believe in, if you're putting on a show. So it's one of the reasons I enjoy traveling as I do. I've got like 6 European trips planned already for next year to teach at conferences and workshops. But the conferences, I love, it's my show. That's my show.
Right.
Is combining singing, demonstrating singing, where I don't have to remember lyrics, I just make sounds, and impart information, because I've been studying the voice for over 50 years. So I have this lifetime of information that is not readily available. It's in my head, and it's my legacy. And also make people laugh and feel happy. So that's the Lisa show that I usually do. It just doesn't have any dancing in it. So for this summer, it was really fun to be able to dance and have people not make fun of me, because growing up, people would say, Lisa, my mom would say, you're not a very good dancer. Or I have a black friend, she goes, yeah, you just dance like a white girl. Or, just people who just thought I didn't dance very well. And so to be able to dance and have people not think it was bad, and having people like the orchestra, there'd be orchestra members behind me, and they sometimes after shows they'd go, "Oh, Lisa, we just loved watching you dance. You're so good, and I just couldn't take my eyes off you." And I went, "Whoa!" So that kind of gave me that little bit of touchy healing I'd been looking for. That, yeah, I may be a white girl, but I still got something going on.
Yeah.
And I could try new moves. I kept working on new moves all the time. There was what was the one where we're doing, the one where he sits and he has the drink.
Jurassic
and
Park.
looks at his phone.
Yes.
Jurassic Park. So that was where we really got to do our silly 1960s stuff. So
Yeah.
I was on YouTube looking at the Frog and the Swim and the Pony, and looking at these old TV shows that I used to watch from the black and white shows from the 60s, like Hullabaloo. Just to steal ideas and how to make it look ridiculous, but still a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love that part in the song where I think Dave pointed it out to me, where you guys were just doing the crazy dances while Al's sitting there, and it lines up with the video of the music video so perfectly. I loved that so much.
I didn't get to see the music videos. There were times when I'd see a fan video and say, "Oh, I didn't know that was going on behind us," because I couldn't turn around, right?
Right,
so
right.
"Oh, that's really interesting. Look at that." Silly, can't do it all.
I would love to hear more about. So you have Lisa Popeil's Voice Works, and you have coaching, but you also have instructional videos. You do one-on-one Skype sessions, so it's really not just for people who are in LA. This is for worldwide. People can get lessons from you.
It's true. I love Skype. I've been using Skype since the beginning, and it just gets better and better. It allows me to work with people anywhere on any topic voice related. So I've always been interested in vocal health, because that is such a huge issue for professionals. And though I work with a lot of complete beginners as well, when you're a musical theater performer, you're doing 8 shows a week. It could be, that's a lot. Not everyone does that, but that's a lot of singing every week. And it's a 6-month contract minimum, usually. It could be 3 months, but it's often 6 months or a year. And to keep your voice healthy so you don't have to leave the show and be replaced is a huge concern. And in rock tours, making sure, helping Al not have vocal problems. Because when his voice gets fatigued, it can be very upsetting. So I brought some of my little tricks and tools with me, and gave him some advice that really, I think, helped him have a perfect voice by the end of the tour. So it's a concern for professional singers. They worry about it a lot. And they often think that if I just use the right throat spray, I'll be fine. But in fact, throat spray doesn't touch the vocal cords. So it can give the illusion that you're better because it's moisturizing the back of your mouth, but it's not really doing anything. So I'm always researching, investigating, learning about the latest methodologies for vocal health, voice repair. I have some of my own that are not widely known and used, that I lecture about, that I would like to do more research on, including the use of ice packs, thin, round gel ice packs in towels after a show. Nobody's using ice that I know of, but there are special straws that are very helpful. There are nebulizers. There's saline, different kinds of nebulized saline that can really moisturize and cool the vocal folds. And just how to warm up or not warm up, kind of exercises to do. So there's a lot in just the vocal reflux. That's another big one. A lot of people who eat late, they have reflux problems, which burn the vocal folds. So And I had a big reflux problem about 10 years ago, so I'm always up on the latest, what to do, what not to do. So that's a whole little area. But I also work with speech. No matter how, whether we sing or not, speech is the basis of our lives. We take it for granted. And a lot of people either have questions about the quality of their voice, whether it's too breathy, too loud, too nasal, ugly. It hurts when they speak. People tell them that there's something wrong with their voice. So speech beautification. I'm not a licensed speech therapist, though I know a lot about that field. But I work with speech beautification quite a bit. And I incorporate that also into my singing lessons if I feel someone needs to change or improve their speaking voice, because it's all the same tissues that are working. But I also work with accent reduction.
Oh, wow.
One of my hobbies is linguistics. And originally, before I went into music, I was planning to be a linguist. I was planning to go to Stanford and major in linguistics. Big story, I won't bore you. I didn't do that. I did psychology, humanistic psychology, and then I focused on music, composition, piano, and classical voice, because that's all they had at the college level then. And still now, really, it's still classical voice if you go to college. And then Zappa, and then my album, and here I am. So all things voice intrigue me. In fact, when I was about 6 or 7, I mumbled so badly that my mother hired an elocution teacher for me. And they actually had elocution teachers in those days. That was in the early 60s. And she was this woman who had blue hair, and she had a very strange way of speaking, and super affected sounding. And I remember doing then a story about Tommy and his dog. But that was my first introduction into that you can change the way you use your voice or your tongue or your lips.
Right.
And I think that was really the very beginning. And then when I was 6, I went to this theater school for kids. It was called Jack and Jill Players in Chicago. And we did dance and acting and singing. And I was just yelling, basically, and they would say, "Louder, Lisa, louder." So by the time I was 7, I think I had nodules, meaning little calluses on my vocal cords. And that's when my mother said, okay, she's out of that program. I'm going to find a real singing teacher. So my whole life has been about the voice, about whether it's linguistics or dialects. I do voiceover work still. I love using my voice for different characters and mastering different English dialects or Australian, French, German. I've done that my whole life, and I'm really good at it, but I've turned that into accent reduction, and I have a unique way of working with accent reduction, particularly for business. A lot of people are immigrants, and they feel that their native accent is reducing their ability to get or keep work.
Oh, interesting.
But that's tough, because that really takes a lot of practice and dedication on the student's part, because they've been speaking the way they speak English for as long as they've been speaking English.
Right.
It's easier to make changes to one's singing voice than it is to one's speaking voice or accent reduction, but I still love teaching it. So it's all available, anything voice related, besides throat cancer and surgery. And
Right.
I'm not a doctor, but I'm in the world of great laryngologists, doctors and surgeons who focus on visualizing problems with cameras. In my research, I've got I could have my camera down my throat for 4 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I do it a lot. I've got some funny photos of me with these things in my throat. But that's to me a good time. That to me is like, I'm moving voice science forward, so go ahead. And I'm doing it myself. I'm putting the camera and that rod
Right.
down my own throat. And I'd rather be in control of it than have someone else do it for me. And I can do it very quickly. And I can teach people how to do it so they don't gag. But it's not for everyone, I'm sure.
We can get more information on popeil.com. What a great website. And get information there. I wanted to just comment on the fact that the only vocal coach that Al has worked with is you.
I don't think that's true.
Really?
I don't think it's true. I heard him work with a CD, an exercise CD, at the beginning of the tour, which I did not give him. And
Okay.
he was losing his voice. I said, I don't think you should do that. I said, save it for the stage. And I gave him some more advice about how I warm up and how Monique and Scotty warm up. And there's not much to it. It's not a big deal. I'm not one of those people that feels that warming up is the key to good singing, or it's the key to a great performance. I think it's actually it can be extremely tiring. And if you're performing and singing almost every night, it carries over, and you don't have to do a lot of warming up. So
okay.
Once he took my word for it, and once he stopped using that really intense CD, he had no vocal problems. So, so obviously someone must have said, "You've got to go see so and so," and my guess is that he went to see so and so, and that gave him this CD, and it was very intense and loud and exhausting, and I'm glad he stopped using it, because then he sounded really good, and he didn't have to stress out about his voice.
I'm glad too.
When you know how to sing, the key is knowing how to sing, and that's what I try to focus on as a voice coach. Is I like to show people exactly what to do to sing, so their voice always sounds good, even when you're sick. That it's always under your control, and that control gives you a sense of confidence, and you don't have that anxiety, that luck factor. People who are just naturally talented, who have no technique, have good days and bad days. I mean, we all have good days and bad days. I don't want to give that impression,
Right.
but there's that feeling of lack of confidence when you don't really know how to drive your car. So what I do is I show people what does what, so that they can be a professional driver of their car, and they'll stress out a lot less, or not at all, because their voice is like, you get in the car, you put the key in, it goes. It's a very mechanical thing. At least the technique part of it is very mechanical. And when you're consistent with it, then you can focus on all the other things you want to focus on, like not falling off the stairs while you're singing, getting into the audience, or doing, tacky about getting in people's faces or sitting on top of them, or doing all the stuff, the crazy stuff you want to do. You're not worrying about your technique, because it's just a machine, and it's consistent and standard, and it's great to not have to think about it, and have a voice that works each and every time. Wow, I sound like an infomercial here. So that's my approach. Is I don't do a lot of exercises for the sake of doing exercises. It's pointless and tiring.
Lisa, what's really cool is people who live in the eastern southern U.S., they have a chance to see you. You're doing a workshop in January in Savannah, Georgia. I wish I was closer. I would totally go see one of your workshops.
Oh, thank you. You could see the Lisa show as it is now, or as it is usually. It's a 2-day workshop, and it's going to be held at the Savannah Repertory Theater. And why there, one might ask? Well, in Los Angeles, I had 2 extremely talented students in the 90s. They were teenagers at the time, and they were a brother-sister team, Jen and Eric Bishop, and they moved to Savannah and have started the Savannah Repertory Theater. It's one of the few repertory theaters. They've done a wonderful thing for the community there, and I mean, they were so great. They used to live and work in New York and on Broadway, and so they're hosting this workshop. And I love doing hosted workshops, because when I've done my own workshops, like the Total Singer workshop, which I did this last January, I do everything myself, and I'm at the point where I love the control, but I'd rather, if colleges or schools or singing teacher organizations want to host me, I'm there.
That's so
even
cool.
if it's less lucrative for me, I just want to show up and make it happen. And I do that quite a bit in Europe too, where let's say we have a facility, we have the people. Please come and do 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. And I don't have children, and to me, this passing on of my knowledge about the voice is really what I live for. It is the focus of my work life. It's my passion. It's my calling, and so this being able to do something so practical, meaning the strings attached tour, was a surprise and a delight, because I learned I'm an inveterate student, and so I learned so much about the real life of a singing performer.
Right.
Not just, going from university and doing recitals and then teaching. I mean, I actually got to see what it's really like as a professional singer. And even though it was 3 months, the vast knowledge that I gained, I'm just going to pass it on to people who are considering doing the same thing. They want to know, how do you do that? What's every day like?
Right.
And what are the skills required that are different than what they might have learned in a college setting? So I hope some people from the South would consider coming. It's all on my workshop page on my website. Also on my website, I have like 35 free vocal instruction videos that I made some time ago. And some of my students will like to go, they'll go and watch all of them. And then when they'll come and have a lesson with me, it's more of a review, because they've actually learned so much by watching the free videos. I've got books. I've got a new book called Sing at the Top of Your Game, and that's published by a website called Singdaptive, and that's available on Amazon, and it got some nice reviews for that. It took me 2 years to write that one. Wow. I have another book called Sing Anything, Mastering Vocal Styles, co-written with a colleague in the Bay Area, Gina Latamerlo. And that's really good for college classes. It's this idea of like, what makes a style different from another style? I've got the Total Singer video. I made that a long time ago in 1994. You can see me with really long hair and too much makeup. And I still sell quite a few of the Total Singers. And I've got a CD called Daily Vocal Workout. Even though I'm not a big workout, vocal exercise person, I had enough students who said, Lisa, we really would like something that we could use every day, maybe driving to the car in LA traffic. So I created a daily vocal workout for females and males, and it's also available as an MP3. And there are people who use it and enjoy it and feel like they're working on their voice every day. So I'm always creating product, but my main thing is the workshops and the private lessons. And they can contact me right through my website if they have any questions about how we might work together.
That's so cool. Yeah, I know one of our friends, another big Weird Al superfan, Mary Alicia, has done a Skype lesson with you, and she loved it. She was saying so many great things about it.
Oh, wow, that's wonderful. And the timing, the only time it was a problem the only time I had a Skype problem was I had a student who lived in the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. Ever heard of it?
Wow. No.
Me either. I had to pull out the old atlas on that one. And the timing was 12 and a half hours difference. I didn't even know there were time zones in the half hours, but there are. And it's in the middle of the Indian Ocean off the coast of India. And it's a resort location for Indians, particularly South Indians, and they have monsoons all the time. And so that's the only time Skype did not work. There was just too much static and rains, and the Wi-Fi connection was not good enough. But everywhere else, Poland, great reception. New Zealand, it was like they were next door. Russia, no problems at all. And it's free. That part of it's the free part, and it just works so well.
Right, that's so cool.
I have worked with Zoom as well. I've done workshops on Zoom, which were pretty cool because you can videotape them, and then I can send the videotapes to all the participants. So I'm thinking about doing another Zoom workshop, but usually it's for singing teachers, like an advanced course for singing teachers on my work regarding belting, how to take a chest voice up high. There's a real interest in that topic, and I have a really good way of belting and teaching how to do it so it's safe and it's beautiful. It doesn't have to be loud, and it doesn't have to be ugly. As most singing teachers who teach belting, it's always loud, it's always nasal, and it's pretty ugly. and maybe dangerous. So I'm trying to revise that whole concept that why does it have to be loud, ugly, and dangerous? Maybe
Right.
it can be done with there's many more colors. So that's a current specialty of mine, and there's been a lot of interest in that topic of belting. But I'll talk about, you better stop me now because I'll talk about voice until the cows come home. Total nerd about that.
Well, Until the Cows Come Home is a good segue to the last thing I wanted to ask you about, and that is your pot-bellied pigs that you used to raise.
Okay. What would you like to know about the time when they slept in bed with me?
Sure. Your brand doesn't seem like the one that would include raising pot-bellied pigs, and I would just love to hear, the story behind that.
You're right. It is not a natural connection there. So I've always loved animals, particularly if they're small. And in the it was about 1990, there was this fad of having a pot-bellied pig as a pet. And I thought, I just started teaching at the college, and I had time on my hands. I thought, this sounds like a fun project. So I found some pig partners, people who were actually zoned for agriculture and pigs and goats. And we put some money into finding a pig pair. And it was like a hobby thing, and was called Hollywood Pot-Bellied Pigs. And it had still have the business cards. They were so cute. And unfortunately, they were illegal at the time to have in Los Angeles County. But that didn't stop people from having them. And there were lots of articles about celebrities having pot-bellied pigs, sitting on their couch watching TV with them. So my job was when the babies were born, I'd bring them to my house in the city, and I'd have a playpen, and I'd have 1 or 3 of them, and then my job would be to humanize them and then sell them. And so I became quite the expert. I've forgotten all of it.
Wow.
It's been so long, but I became quite the expert in pig care. And I would get little leashes for them and try to train them on the leash, and try to train them to potty train them to go potty in a like a litter box. I wasn't that successful. They still pooped and peed where they wanted to, but and then I realized there were some problems with them. Number one, they're not like dogs. They're more like cats. They really don't care about you. They only care about their comfort. So they like heat. So I have a picture somewhere, it's so cute, of this little floor heater, and I had 3 pigs, baby pigs, stacked on top of each other against the heater. If they could jump up on the bed, they would, I'd come home and the bed would be made, except there'd be a lump or a bump under the covers at the bottom at the foot of the bed. So they'd obviously gotten under the covers and were sleeping. And it was very cute and strange. But one of my favorite memories was when I had a baby pig who was sleeping next to me in the bed. You have to wear nightwear because their hooves are sharp, if you know what I'm talking about. And I woke up, and its little head was on my pillow facing me, and it was yawning. I just thought that was the cutest thing ever. And because they don't eat meat, their breath was kind of sweet. It smelled like hay, but it was sweet. And I would put my nose in their mouth as they were yawning, and it was just adorable.
That is so cute.
They really do only care about food and warmth, and so you have to be very careful about that everything's locked up, because they're smart, and they'll find a way to find your food and make a big mess.
Right.
And they'll also ruin your gardening. So think twice about having a pig. And plus, they got way big. They got so much bigger than I wanted to. And if they're not trained on a leash, you're going to hurt your back picking up a 100-pound pig. But the bottom fell out of the pot-bellied pig as pet market, and the fad was over, and I got out of the business. But I'd probably do it again, even though it was a money-losing proposition, because it was so fascinating. Again, I just learned so much about something nobody knows about, like especially a city girl. I grew up in an apartment in Chicago, so the idea of having pigs was, it never even crossed my mind.
Right.
And I met some really interesting people and pig partners and, agricultural people and people who just loved having pigs as pets. So that was a passing phase, as my mother would have said. Oh, it's just a phase, dear. But a phase that I definitely did enjoy.
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Lisa, we are definitely going to be checking out Popeil.com, where we can get, like you said, the different CDs and DVDs and sign up for lessons and get information about your workshops and the free vocal tips. It's so exciting. Lisa Popeil's VoiceWorks, Popeil.com. This has been so much fun.
Oh, make sure to sign up for my newsletter. Send it only out about 2 or 3 times a year, but it's if I have people's email address, they can see what I'm doing, where I'm at. It's become more about where's Lisa, where's Waldo, what part of the world is she in? I was just in Romania last week and in Cluj-Napoca in the center of Transylvania. And then right before that, I was in Ravenna and Bologna and Venice. And so the newsletter is my way of staying in touch with people and
That's great.
seeing what's the haps with me.
Right.
So that'd be a great thing if people don't want lessons, but they're kind of mildly curious about what I'm going to be up to the next few months. So that's called the world's tiniest vocal newsletter.
I just signed up.
Oh, thank you.
Can't wait to hear about all your happenings. Please stay in touch, Lisa. It's been so much fun getting to know you over the tour, finally getting you on the show. We'll talk to you soon.
So fun talking to you guys. Bye.
Thank you so much to Lisa Popeil for joining us for an amazing interview. For more with Lisa, you can check out Lisa Popeil's VoiceWorks at Popeil.com. You can get CDs and DVDs, workshops, and virtual one-on-one sessions with Lisa Popeil herself.
So cool. Dave, gotta ask you, what do you think happened at the big Weird Al magazine photo shoot last weekend?
I have no idea. It's too bad that we didn't get to go. I guess we'll never get to hear what happened.
Yeah, you're... Dave, my spatula's lighting up.
My spatula's lighting up too. I guess that means someone is calling our 347 Spatula official podcast hotline.
Oh, Frank, patch the caller through.
Beep, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop, beep.
Hey, how are you? This is Jeff McClelland. I thought I'd give the podcast a call in real time.
Hey, Jeff. Thanks for calling.
Hey, Jeff.
So you were at the photo shoot, the elusive photo shoot. I know you can't share too many details because it is still quite a big secret, but we would love to hear about your day. What did it entail? Did you dress like Al? Tell us everything.
Yeah, the mysterious photo shoot. It was quite a time. Now, as we know, Al, maybe a week and a half ago or so, tweeted out some details that basically said, "Hey, do you want to be in a photo shoot with me?" And the answer to that is always yes. So we all know some basic details. We know that it's a photo shoot. We know that it's very Al centric. We know the basic idea behind it was you dress up as Al,
right?
And come to this place, and a number of people will be there too. So beyond that, as far as the publication and things like that are concerned, they asked us not to spoil it. It's nothing like mind blowing. There's no top secret information. I don't feel that will make you just kind of gasp or anything like that, but it's a publication. It's a publication you've heard of before. It's something that supposedly is going to be published relatively soon. Maybe a few months away.
Cool.
But as far as the names and things like that are concerned, we'll keep that secret for now. The basic idea, what happened. So this took place just a few days ago. We got confirmation as to who was in, etc. And once that happened, you basically just kind of jumped into overdrive because the key to this was that you had to have your own Weird Al costume,
right?
And that included glasses and a wig and a Hawaiian shirt. And that was kind of the basic, and a mustache, I guess. That was kind of the basic costume that they wanted you to have. Now, you could have some extra things, but they wanted to keep it very specific, so you weren't showing up as, Surgeon Al, or you weren't showing
Right.
up as Amish Al or anything like that. They wanted to keep it, very specific to a time period and a particular look. So this may come as a surprise, but I don't just have a closet where I have my Weird Al costume, hanging out. So I had to put one together.
Right.
Maybe that's not the case for everyone, but for me, that's I had to do some searching. So I found what I was looking for and hopped on a plane and got there on Friday evening, and the shoot was on a Saturday. We all had different call times. Mine just happened to be the earliest, which actually ended up working out for me. I thought, why can't it be 3 hours after the first people have to get in? But like I said, it did kind of work out. So we went to a sound stage in West Hollywood, and we were all checked in, and they took our phones and put some kind of stickers over the cameras so we wouldn't be taking any pictures while we were there. What I heard when I was there, and this was just what people were saying, that there were about 600 people who had applied for it.
Now, were there 600 people there, or did they only limit it to 350?
They limited it, so not everyone who applied got in. Supposedly there were 350 people there. It didn't look quite that many to me, but I could be completely wrong. So when we got in, they had us check in, and they gave us like a section. So depending on what your call time was and when you showed up, you might have been anywhere from section A through, I think, section G. Is how that worked. So, and really all that meant was they had an idea of how many people were there and if they needed to fill any spots, if that was even possible. And then when we actually went in and started doing the work, they took us in by section. So we were kind of hanging out. The weather was beautiful. And again, this is no secret. I'm not giving away any kind of crucial information here. Everyone, was dressed as Al.
Right.
So everyone had their costumes. It was very surreal. I'm sure it was more surreal for Al, who people are dressing up as.
Now, did they have any extra, like, mustaches lying around in case somebody forgot a mustache or forgot a wig or their Hawaiian shirt? Or if you didn't bring everything, were you just, all right, that's it, you're out?
That's an interesting question because, the answer is that, yes, they did have some extra items. And I guess people were making raids on the local costume shops and things like that to where it was kind of a buzz around the area. Like, why do people want so many brown curly wigs for this weekend? So I think it was something where the people, the organization who was sponsoring this shoot, was trying to think about like what ifs. So there was a table that I did see, some Hawaiian shirts kind of stacked up on. There was a table where I saw, some wigs and things like that. But I will say I don't think that anyone actually they didn't have to break into them. They didn't have to use them because everyone came prepared, which is just overall, having a little bit of experience in this type of thing, not that usual. It's not that common. So people were very prepared. They were very excited. They really wanted to be there. So everyone came and they looked good. Some people brought accordions. Most of the accordions were just the little toy accordions.
Right.
So we really messed up Amazon's metrics for a week. Because a lot of people had the exact same toy accordion, including myself.
I can picture it. It's like red and blue one.
Yes, that's exactly it. It was about $21 on Amazon,
right.
And it shipped in 2 days. So there were quite a few of them there. So, but there were some full size, some real accordions there too, and even a couple people who knew how to play them. So it made for some interesting downtime.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, people were generally very, very excited to be there. We were there for probably a total of 5 hours. But for myself, just speaking for myself anyway, it certainly felt like it went very quickly.
So in the 5 hours, are you taking pictures the entire time, or is this all leading up to one picture? I don't know how much you can tell us, but can you answer those questions?
Sure. So much of it was just kind of waiting around, which is to be expected. They did have a food truck that was there that people were frequenting. They had some other snacks that were laid out. I know you were interested in some bottled water.
Yes.
It exists. It exists. It wasn't, if I go to the local Costco or something like that, I could fool you into thinking that I got it from there because it was just a brand name bottle of water. Nothing to get too excited about.
It wasn't Aquafina?
I can neither confirm nor deny.
Okay, understood.
That was on my right, I think. But they had some snacks, and people were, we had a sing along, I guess. Someone brought a Bluetooth speaker and was playing some music, and people were generally, very excited to be there.
And was it, with the different call times, were there multiple different photos taken, or was it all for one big photo with everyone?
So there were different photos taken. We were all there, and the reason that we had the different call times was just so we didn't show up at the same time. I really believe that was the only reason for that. So what ended up happening is we went into the sound stage, and we were all there for one big shot. And this is supposedly going to be like the cover image
right.
that will eventually be on there. So I showed up local time at 11 o'clock, maybe a little bit before, and Al probably showed up at about 2. He and his family were there. He walked out, came out to say hello to everyone, and of course, what would happen? The universe didn't end just because it kind of seems like, merging realities or something like that. But Al showed up, and of course everyone cheered, and I feel like he, was very appreciative, just as you might expect. We got some instructions on exactly what we were going to do. There were times before this where some of the people who were putting it on brought individuals who they thought looked unique or looked interesting or looked particularly good. And I believe some of them got individual photos. What they're going to use these for, I do not know. But most of us were there for this one shot. So we went onto the sound stage. Al, of course, was in front, and then we were placed somewhere in this particular scene. Some people had some props, let's say, but most of us were just there for this giant, very odd, photo session where all of us were dressed the same. We all looked very similar. So there was, I will say this, and I don't think this is giving anything away. There were probably a dozen children, and they all looked adorable. Someone brought their dog. And the dog was also dressed as Al.
Oh, amazing!
So that was definitely something a little bit unique and a little bit special. So once we actually started taking pictures, that probably only took about half an hour because they wanted to move people around and they wanted to do slightly different things and giving a little bit of direction to some of the people there about where to stand and where not to stand and where to look and where not to look and things like that. So we probably finished up at about maybe 4:30 in the afternoon. And after that, they said, well, we're done. And we didn't really have any expectations as to what would happen next, but Al was kind enough to stick around and talk to people and sign some things and
wow.
Just shake some hands and things like that. So, it's one of those things that, you don't expect, but, you appreciate because it's not that much of a surprise when someone like Al does it because that's just the kind of guy he is. And after that, we all went out to eat and took some pictures dressed as Al and scared some of the locals, and it was a real good time.
That sounds like a blast. I wish I could have been there, Jeff.
Yeah, why weren't you?
Jeff, one of the reasons why we weren't there is we were busy preparing for our big UHF screening with Jonah Ray coming up on this Saturday. And I'm so glad that you called in because you played a very instrumental role in this screening as well because you were the person who designed our poster.
I will say that I'm, very appreciative of you guys for involving me in doing a little bit of work for this screening. I think it's going to be great. It's very exciting. I don't want to take all the credit for it. Just like when I worked on some of the strings attached posters over the summer. I in general worked with some other people. I did a little bit. They did a little bit too. And with this particular image, a friend of mine, Andrea Schiavone, he's an Italian artist, and I'm currently just working on a comic book with him. And I got the message from you guys that maybe you wanted to put something together for your screening. And basically, I said to him, do you want to blow all of our deadlines and work together on a Weird Al poster? And of course, the correct answer is yes. I would like to shirk all of my responsibilities for Weird Al related items. So I know that you guys wanted to have not just something that reflected the movie itself, but was somewhat reflective of the podcasts and the Frank's 2000-inch TV kind of theme that you have going on here. So one of the things that I wanted to do with that was, well, the kind of the image that I thought was to have this like very serene scene that was kind of interrupted, just kind of in the same way that UHF just kind of smacks you in the face when you see it. You might not expect what's coming, but it's kind of like this slap to the face almost, and that's kind of the feel that I wanted to get across with this poster. So we have this huge television, and Andrea he suggested having like the houses in the background kind of fly up on impact, which I thought was a great addition there. So what I was responsible for was some of the basic layouts, and then some of the color corrections afterwards, and some of the design elements that we put on the finished product. Andrea did well. If there's something that you're looking at this poster and you're saying, I like that, it's probably him. It's probably Andrea. So I want to give all the credit to him on that. He really helped out a lot too. So he did a lot of stuff. Maybe some of the more noticeable stuff and some of the stuff that gets some more attention. But for my part, I certainly enjoyed putting some things together, and I like the results. I think it looks good, and I hope people buy some prints. I wonder if there are any available.
They are very limited in supply, so there are some left. If people are interested, they can purchase one of these exclusive 4-color screen print limited edition posters.
So back on hold to you, Jeff, and we'll get to you in another hour or two.
All right, guys. Good luck with the podcast thing. I think it's going to work out.
Wow, I'm so glad Jeff called in. What perfect timing.
Yeah, I can't believe it. And what great timing, not only for the magazine shoot, but for our upcoming event on Saturday, January 25th with Jonah Ray and the screening of UHF. Those posters are just amazing. There are only a couple left of the screen printed posters. They will be in limited supply at the event itself, but if you need one for your collection, and trust me, you do, please let Dave or I know, or email frank@2000inch.com to reserve your poster.
Help us get the word out. If you listen to the podcast and enjoy it, please tell a friend. And if they don't know how to listen, show them how. You can listen on iTunes, on Stitcher, on Atari 2600 cartridge, directly on our website, 2000inch.com, or the podcast app of your choice. And best of all of that is absolutely free. Make sure you subscribe so you do not miss an episode, ever.
If you want an option that's not free, you can choose to financially support the podcast so you can help keep the great content coming. Head over to patreon.com/2000inch. Helps us pay the podcast bills, the hosting, and everything else, and it ensures that we can continue to do what we and you love, and that's this fun, amazing podcast for the next, give or take, 1,962 episodes.
Also, make sure you give us a follow at 2000inch on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and of course, patreon.com/2000inch. Check us out on our Facebook group and also visit us at 2000inch.com where you can get information about all of our guests, hear the latest episode, and hear every single back episode, including our bonus episodes. Remember to use the hashtag 2000inch and hashtag Gill and Chill when you post.
And don't forget, you can always give us a call, 347-SPATULA. That's 347-772-8852. Leave us a message any time of day or night or month or week or year. We love hearing from our listeners and may even play your message on the air. And we want to give a special thanks to Jim Chemo West. He wrote our amazing theme song. Check him out at jimchemowest.com.
Well, I know what I'm doing this weekend. I am listening to Jim Chemo West sing our theme song over and over again. So I guess that's it, Ethan. I guess I'll see you next week for the podcast.
No! Dave! You got to give me $5 on Saturday.
Oh, that's right. This weekend we have coming up on Saturday our screening of UHF with Jonah Ray. It is at Proctor's. It is in Schenectady, New York. If you hurry, you may still be able to find tickets at uhf.2000inch.com.
I cannot wait, Dave. It's going to be amazing. You and I, we're going to interview Jonah Ray live in front of the audience. We're going to have a screening of UHF. We're going to have Yankaritas. And we are going to have vegan Twinkie Wiener sandwiches. Weird Al approved because he does not eat meat, so they are vegan. So if Al happens to show up, and I hope he does, he can eat the Twinkie Wiener sandwiches provided by Burrito.
Wait, if Al shows up, he's still got to buy a ticket, right?
Absolutely.
This week's episode brought to you in part by vegan Mexican restaurant Burrito in Troy, New York, home of the 2-pound double wrapped in a quesadilla Burrito. Come on down to Burrito and Burrito, your Burrito. Find them at burritosquared.com and at burritosquared on Instagram. And remember, not every burrito is a burrito, but every burrito can be burritoed.
Dave, they're going to have burritos there too, so maybe you could get a Twinkie Wiener sandwich inside a burrito.
Ooh, will it be burritoed?
It better be!
I'm excited to finally get to try Burrito. I'm excited to try a Yankarita, and I'm excited to see you and to see Jonah Ray, and I'm not excited to give you $5.
That was Dave and Ethan's 2000-inch Weird Al podcast, episode 38-inch.
Oh, those young people. They don't know what they're missing.